You know, as an artist, and I only say that to make it very easy, that's how people label me, because I don't consider myself an artist. As an artist, I guess, or someone who makes art, I've seen this time and time again, where people tend to want to think they invented things, that they can only have something, that their art is unique and they're not like the other girls, and it's solely because they made it. There's no other influence that might have persuaded them to make it. Even with their art style, it's not similar to anybody's. Don't say it is, or it's a death insult, like, you've shot me in the heart. How dare you say my art looks similar to this person that I've been looking up to for years and probably am influenced by. Don't you dare say that. And I get that can actually be like an insult, not a compliment to some people. But honestly, when people say that, it's probably because you have a similar look to that person, or that looks really nice. But my point is that we have a hard time accepting that maybe art isn't as diverse in the ways we do it and how we do it and how we get it done as we want everyone to believe it is. It's kind of just rehashing the exact same thing over and over again and trying to make it unique enough to where others can claim, hey, I did it first, or hey, I did it solely because I'm awesome and not because I saw it somewhere else and it was the easiest way I can explain it. And with this situation specifically, it seems like this is what's happening and this is the case. By the way, hi guys, it's Luna and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the Inktober drama and all the stuff behind that. First of all, I'm just going to say this up front. If you're one of the people who are like, Inktober is ruined, I can't do it anymore, you're dumb. I'm gonna be honest with you. If you really believe that the month of Inktober is something special, then you didn't understand the first part of this video, or the part that I just did. It is like Mermay or Mermaid May or whatever the fuck it's called. It's like when you draw black people on Black History Month, or when you draw black themed things, or when you draw in like a drawing challenge thing or a trend. It's the exact same thing. It's been done actually time and time again. Inktober is just the one for October. It's not anything special, it's not anything new, it's not anything that person can necessarily coin. It's honestly something that you can do without necessarily supporting that person. If you don't want to use the hashtag, you don't have to. If you use the hashtag, it really doesn't do much. It may bring attention to that person, but honestly, probably not. Because literally I've gone through the entirety of Inktober several times and not known what the fuck it necessarily was or who the fuck made it, because I'm not really like a straight up ink artist like that. I hate using ink because it's just like I get on my hands, like a whole thing. I'm a klutz, so like I spill the ink on me, on my floor, ruin my carpet. So I don't use ink that much, even digitally. I just don't like just inking. I like using the colors and whatnot. And honestly, I prefer painting, but that's just me belly aching about nothing, I'm sorry. Going off of the ramble, you really aren't doing that much, nor are you necessarily giving this person money by using the hashtag. As long as you make it very much aware that maybe we shouldn't support this person, then it doesn't really matter. But if you're just sitting here trying to cancel Inktober altogether, I don't know what to tell you at this point. But getting back on the actual situation, the whole controversy is between these two artists. The person who made Inktober, and we're just gonna call him Jake because I'm not gonna remember anything more than that, and the person who made this book. His name is Alfonso, I believe. Alfonso made a video, I believe it was in August, I'll put it up on the screen, basically telling people that Jake plagiarized his book. Now, the Inktober book that Jake made is not out yet, but the few clips that Alfonso seen from it and the information that he can gather, he believes that he directly plagiarized his book and is very mad about it. But as I was watching his video, I kind of saw some things or heard some things where I'm like, I don't know about that, Chief. I don't really know if Jake plagiarized his book. First of all, this is one of those situations where context matters. We have to see the book, or at least have to see pages from the book, or see that this isn't the only stuff in the book. But even then, I really don't need to see that, because Alfonso kind of showed his ass in that video. He had pages from his book, and as he would scroll down and look at them, I would be like, these are several pages in between just so you can find the one context page that matches up with the person in the book. How is that copying your book exactly? If anything, it seems like it's copying your techniques, which your techniques, I promise you, aren't original. If you really think that this is original, then you're in for a rude awakening, sir. All those examples with the inking of the fur and the... No, I've never seen that before. It's just, man, I'm so glad that you came up with that all by yourself. It's crazy. So when I was looking at his book, I'm like, your book seems to be, from what I can gather, a very detailed look into how to draw with ink and do different textures, and it seemed like it's like a, not just a how-to book, you know what I'm talking about, like the how-to manga type books. It looks like it's a genuine book that's trying to go really in depth. Jake's book, on the other hand, looks like a how-to book, and in that case, it makes total sense why it's such a simple, broken down version of yours, because it's supposed to be like a quick, hey, do you want to learn how to draw really quick? Doesn't cost that much money, or I'm not sure how much it costs, but hopefully it doesn't cost that much money. It's just like something you pick up at Michael's when you first want to learn how to draw, or your child wants to learn how to draw and you don't know what to get them. You get them like some crayons and some decent supplies and like a how-to book, and to give it to them for Christmas and hope that they become an artist one day. It doesn't really seem like the books are even comparable in the layout, because one of the biggest points he tries to make is, well, the layout's the same and the textures are the same and the examples are the same, and I'm like, are they supposed to be different? When giving examples of cool textures and lines and things to make your inking look really cool, is he supposed to give like really different examples? Why would he? He would give the basic examples that you would use for the inking, for making those cool textures that, you know, your friends are like, oh, awesome, and then you can expand on them further. So if he took that from your book, which he did, and I can show you on screen examples of how he fucking did it. Let's just say he did, even though he didn't. Let's just say he did. Isn't that the point of your book? Isn't the point of your book to teach that to other people? And now you're mad that someone simplified that, or said it in like basically so few words that people can understand and don't have to look through a whole ass long ass book and several volumes. I think you have 2 books on this topic, and they can just buy that and read that, and it's part of Inktober, so it is helpful in the sense of motivating you to do Inktober. And on top of that, I see a lot of motivational and helpful little, you know, words and phrases and sayings in there to really encourage you as an artist, whether you're already an artist, whether you're a new learning artist, to try these things and do them further. And it's just, a lot of it doesn't really make a lot of sense of how he plagiarized your book. A lot of the techniques you use aren't new. They're not by just you. You didn't make them. And honestly, even just him saying that they're plagiarism, you obviously can't go to court for this because you didn't come up with those strategies, which just means that he might have copied the way you put the strategies on paper, or, you know, put them in your book, which even that's debatable because the books aren't even in the same format technically. But even if he did that, and like, I get that you're very passionate about this book and this is something that you care about, and that's why you're so emotional about this, but taking the emotions out of it, and why does this matter? You say it as if your book isn't up to par or it can't match with this. Again, his book, Jake's book, is more like a how-to basic type thing for inking. Your book seems to be something that's way more advanced and talks about more examples and things like that. You know, he, from what I can see, only uses like example of a square. You use squares, cylinders, circles, all types of things in your book. So if he just took the squares and took the basic examples of fur and things like that, which every artist needs to know, so obviously he took those. If he took those and put them in his book, but you have more examples, why are you so pressed? Why are you so mad that someone used your book, which I thought was the point of using your book, to advance their skills, and now sharing it in the most simple and basic way with other people? Even the wording that he was complaining about, I'm like, what other wording is supposed to use? You know what I mean? Like, there's only a certain way to say certain things without being technically wrong or technically right. And if it's if you are using the technical term that you need to use in the way you need to use it so it's understandable and simple for the person to consume, then why can't Jake do the exact same thing and then simplify it into his words? And simplifying in his words doesn't mean you have to change the entire thing up. It's just, what else is supposed to say? It's like saying, now to blend the colors together, you have to take this color and put it together. And it's like somebody else saying, to blend the colors together, you have to find the light colors and the dark colors and blend them together on top of each other. It's like it's saying the exact same thing, it's just being a little bit different. Is that what you want him to do? Is that serious? Is that real? Like, is that really the problem here? I don't think it is. From the video I watched and all the information I looked up and the countless examples of how this book isn't even original, and I mean Alfonso's book isn't even original to what he's talking about. It's literally, again, it's just him taking his personal experience when it comes to drawing and putting it into a book and seeing how just that's okay, well that's how other people have done it and you're not the first one to come up with that. I don't see why it's this big hullabaloo. You know what I mean? Why it has to be like, he's plagiarizing it, you need to tell him to stop, it's bad, this is terrible. It's like, well, can someone make the same argument for the stuff that you're putting in your book, that you plagiarize them? So people that use hash marks in their books and show that example of hash marks for any way, shape, or form, could they say that you're plagiarizing them? Can it be said about you? No. You really don't even have, seems like, a legal case for this. I mean, you could probably come up with one, but it probably wouldn't hold any water. And for you to make this kind of reckless video and push it into the public opinion, again, I can understand where some stuff is sketchy. You can make that argument of like, oh yeah, he's inspired by you. I know that he did have, or at least it was shown that he had like your book in his possession, so he could have used that as an example and used that wording because he expects that to you. But to really go as far as saying it like this is such a unique book that if he plagiarized it that you could do something about it, or that it really mattered like that, I don't see that. Again, it's like the how-to book I have behind me of how to draw. I could find all of the examples of that book in millions of other books. Hell, I could go to Michael's right now and find 3 books just like that. Does that mean that that person's plagiarizing it? Not really. Some of it has the same exact wording. Does that mean it's plagiarized? Not really. Not when there's certain constructs and examples that every artist use, or majority of artists use, and you're mad that he's using ones that are just somewhat similar to yours. Again, someone else can be mad that you're using something that's similar to theirs. It's to the point where it's like, this really isn't as big of a deal as he made it. You know what I mean? Even if you want to press that argument of it is, and it's terrible, and it's straight up just plagiarism, if you want to feel that way, go ahead, but sue him. That's the best bet you got, is to take that to court. Again, I don't think you have that good of a case, but you can go try to do that if you want. This whole like sending a mob low-key after him, I'm sure that you didn't want to, well, that wasn't your intention, but for you to do that, it just seems like you had a bad case of confirmation bias where you already thought it was plagiarism by the first 3 examples, and then without even actually really looking at or seeing the entire book, you just went and found more examples of things that are just basic how to ink things that everybody knows and everybody has used, and found matches with your book and been like, hey, see, this is plagiarism, which isn't fair. Again, I can understand if he's inspired by you, or if it's iffy, or if you think it's suspicious, but honestly, looking at your book, it's a lot more detailed than what his book seems to be. His book seems to be a feel-good book. That's just his example and his experience on drawing or inking. Your book seems to be something that's way more complex. And if I looked at his book and I looked at your book, I'd probably buy your book if I was a serious artist. If I was somebody that just didn't really even care, I would buy his book. But that's about it. I don't think it's that serious of a thing as you're making it. I really don't even think he plagiarized your book. I think he took heavy influence from you. Maybe he didn't put your name on it, like maybe that's what you wanted. Like, hey, I got a lot of this information from this book, which you didn't do either. But again, that's a whole other thing that maybe you could argue. But honestly, I just don't think this was even worth anything. And for people who think that you should just cancel Inktober, this isn't important, this is this, that, and the third, I wouldn't, personally. I wouldn't. It seems kind of stupid. But that's just the information from what I've seen. If you disagree with me, leave it in the comments below. Sub if you want to. But, you know, I have these long-ass videos with me just rambling about nothing, so I wouldn't recommend it. But I will see you guys later. Bye. Also, if you like me uploading as regularly as I do, please tell me, because I actually really do like uploading this regularly, but I also need suggestions. But still, you know, if you like it, tell me below. I'll see you guys later. Bye.
The sky is falling. Everybody's